Hi guys, we're back for another episode. I want to say this is episode 7. Honestly, I'm not really keeping track, but I bet you guys are all excited for January's episode because that means we're talking about Christmas. We're going through my review of albums that came out in 2025. And then I'm just going to talk about some personal stuff. So with that, let's get into it. I think we should start with the reviews. You guys want the Midwest emo content? That's what we're here for. That's what we're all here for. So we're going to start with the Midwest emo content. I always like to start with the Midwest emo content and then get into personal stuff. So I do want to start off by saying I got myself a MacBook. It's been really awesome to have for school and for the podcast, and I can have my notes on here and stuff. It's been a lot better to have the laptop in terms of keeping track of like creative projects and personal projects, and the laptop has literally like saved my life when it comes to this. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. The laptop has been absolutely incredible for everything in my life. Now, let's start off by saying I'm only talking about albums I like, bands I like, music that I've enjoyed over the year. I'm not anything that I don't mention. I didn't listen to it, I didn't like it, or it's not my style. Even if I do like it, it might not be like something I want to include on the podcast, because like I try to go for Midwest emo. I do talk about other emo music, but mostly the Midwest emo realm, and other times like other types of emo, which we will talk about, because I don't want to just include Midwest emo in terms of like episodes like these where I'm reviewing the last year of music. But I do want to talk about the releases of like other stuff outside the Midwest emo genre. I realized I forgot to include something on this list. So the first thing we should talk about, the first album that I want to talk about, because I forgot to include on my list when I originally made it, and I'm realizing that now. So I don't have notes specifically on my laptop for this, but I'm just going to speak out of memory for this. Have Mercy, The Loneliest Place I've Ever Been. My favorite song on the album is August 17th. Partially because that's my birthday, but also that song really hit me in a very emotional way. This is a very, very emotional album as a whole. TV Glows was another one of my favorites from that. They're both really, really good songs. It's an incredible album as a whole. I've loved Have Mercy for like my entire life, pretty much. I've known about them for a long time. So that's the first one I wanted to mention, The Loneliest Place I've Ever Been. Naturally with the title. And like, I feel like that's a recurring theme from 2025 and a lot of these drops, is a lot of them have been super emotional and given me like, I'm talking specifically relating it to me, because that's what this whole podcast is about. Relating all of it to me is like, it's all been super like self-realization type stuff for me. That's what this past year of music has been. 2024, although I did make a lot of growth and stuff on myself, it really was exponential when it came to 2025. And the music that came out in 2025 really helped with that growth. And this was one of those albums that did it for me. Especially August 16th, especially TV Glows. Just very, very good songs, very, very emotional, and just like helped me get through a really, really hard time in my life. And like I said, that's a recurring theme with all of these, but we'll get more into it because I do have more to say about other albums that I've, listened to over the course of the year. So with that being said, I'm gonna continue the trend of like bands I've known for a long time. La Dispute has been in my top, has been my number one band on Spotify every single year ever since Spotify released in Canada, except for the last 2. But they've been second, and I think this year, or in 2025, they were third. So I'm finding I'm being pulled more towards Midwest emo these days, but I still have a soft spot in my heart for La Dispute, always will. They're one of the most incredible bands to ever exist, in my personal opinion. I'm the biggest fan of them. I have a La Dispute tattoo. Actually, it was one of my first tattoos that I got was a La Dispute tattoo, and it's not the flower. I'm not gonna show you because it is in a little bit of an inappropriate place for me to show on the internet. But if you guys wanna see pictures, I'm more than happy to share pictures. I just will not put it on video. Other tattoos I have, I don't mind showing you guys, like my arms and stuff, but just, this one's on my leg. It's just not appropriate to show on video. But I love La Dispute. I absolutely love No One Was Driving the Car, and I love how they did the drops for it. The intention with the way they did the drops was like the first 4 songs was Act 1, the next 4 was Act 2, they dropped the next 3, I think it was, as like Act 3, and then the last song they did as the last drop. I think it was very well done. This album really reminds me of Rooms in the House in terms of like how thematic it kind of was, and how it was like a story one after another kind of thing. So it was very, very incredible to listen to. I think they stayed true to like their core sound as a band, but they did a lot of different things in this album. But the way they did it just makes me think of Rooms of the House, how it's thematic, how it's a story, how from start to finish, like it's literally just a story from start to finish, from the first song to the last song. It's a story. There's a middle, beginning, and an end, you know? Very, very, very good. My absolute favorite song has been Sibling Fistfight. The song title's a lot longer. Sibling Fistfight is like the most important part of is like the first 3 words of the song. So I'm just referring to it as Sibling Fistfight. Frankly, I never really bothered to learn the rest of the song title, but regardless, favorite song on the album. I absolutely adore it. I'm obsessed with the album. I've been listening to it nonstop, you know? That's all I'm gonna say about that. I could keep going about La Dispute, but we don't have to. Hot Mulligan. Not a band I've been, well, actually a band I've been listening to a long time, but not like a long time. Not as long as La Dispute. Hot Mulligan. We all love Hot Mulligan. We all know they dropped the sound a body makes when it's still. We all know, again, I think with La Dispute, No One Was Driving the Car, very emotional. If you listen to it, it does bring out a lot of feelings. I found that it brought out a lot of feelings in me. It's no different with this next one, The Sound a Body Makes When It's Still by Hot Mulligan, right? This was also another very emotional album, and it frankly, it doesn't really get better. Like, it's just, all of these are were very emotional for me to listen to. So that's what kind of how I'm describe, like, that felt like the theme of 2025 was like emo music. Yes, it's emotional, but like Midwest emo shouldn't necessarily, like, I think it should be a little bit more fun, but just the way that all these albums kind of came out, and the fact that they're all kind of, I feel like, again, they just have this very emotional, this very deep draw to them, but like, I love it, right? Because I love being in my feelings, and so, yeah, again, reoccurring theme, and I'm not going to stop saying that. It's a reoccurring theme with every single one of these. Let's get into the actual what I have to say about it, right? I cried the whole time the first time I listened to this album. My first listen through start to finish, I cried at like literally every song. I was going through something big when this song dropped, and every single song of that album made me feel something. That's for sure. Very powerful and emotional album that surpasses the rest of Hot Mully's discography. I'm just reading directly from my notes because it's easier to do that way. They usually have emotional and gut-wrenching songs, with this album manages to take it to the next level, kind of what I was saying at the beginning there. Favorite song was a huge toss-up for me from this album. I'll probably have to call it a three-way tie. Like, and I know that's stupid because, like, you might think, oh, well, you liked it. I didn't, to be fair, I didn't actually like the whole album. Like, I liked the whole album, but there was a least favorite song for me for this one. Three-way tie for my tops, right? Three-way tie for my top favorite. Let Me See Your Mounts. And I have a reason for this one specifically, is because I guess Tades plays World of Warcraft. I think it was Tades. Or someone in the band plays World of Warcraft. And I saw an interview that they did somewhere where the song was literally called Let Me See Your Mounts, because I think Tades was watching somebody play World of Warcraft and said, let me see your mounts, and then they named a song that. And so, as a World of Warcraft player, if you haven't seen, I do have my Horde tattoo here. I just really like the song title, and I really like the song itself is very good. And it's probably one of the more upbeat songs on the album, so I really have like I really enjoy when, like, you know, the more upbeat kind of style from Hot Mulligan. So that song I really appreciate and I really like. Monica Lewinsky. Come on. We all know. It's like a funny little name. And then the song itself is the most gut-wrenching song probably out of their entire discography. And it's called Monica Lewinsky. How are you supposed to tell somebody, oh yeah, I can't go out tonight. I'm gonna stay home, listen to Monica Lewinsky by Hot Mulligan and cry? How is that a sentence? I don't know, but it is, you know? Like, it's just like so stupid, but it works on like so many different levels. And Carbon Monoxide Hotel. This was the one that made me have like some really deep self-realization about my life and about things I was going through at the time this album dropped. Carbon Monoxide Hotel really put some things in perspective for me that like I needed to hear. And like I kind of already knew what I needed to hear, but just like hearing these things put into a song was just like, fuck, I'm wasting my time with this person. Like, I need to move on. You know, it was one of those songs where it's like makes you realize that you need to move on from whatever you're going through in your life at the time. And so that song like is going to have a huge weight on me probably for the rest of my life because of that. Island of the Sun, it's probably my least favorite. I just didn't connect with it. I didn't vibe with it in the way that I think a lot of people did, because a lot of people had said that they really, really enjoyed this song, but it's not a song that I would ever reach for if I were to put this album on, because again, the other three I listed are just like way better than Island and Sun. Not that I don't like Island and Sun as a song in general, it's just out of that whole album, it's just not something that I would seek out to play as a song on its own, right? Like if I'm like, oh, let me show you like a couple of songs by Hot Mulligan I like, that one wouldn't make the top 5 out of their entire discography. You know what I mean? It's just like it's not a song I really cared for on the album. I'll say that much. Say P. Sorry Is Your Place. These Things Happen. Again, it's one of those albums. Self-realization, self-reflection, big emotional moments happened, lots of crying. What did I write? A little less cheery from the musical side from Say P, but that doesn't discredit the amazing sounds that will still come from them. It's not too far from what they did with Always Cloudy, but it sounds leaps different than their first full length. Something worth celebrating, and I think that speaks volumes to their growth as a band, with this only being their second full length, and to me, clearly taking a slightly different direction, right? I don't know if you guys agree with me on that, but it's just, I definitely think that about this album, specifically from Sorry Is Your Place. It does feel different than their discography, but in a really, really good way. There's no denying that What Am I Supposed to Do is such a banger because of how relatable it is, right? Like when you ever have a moment where you're just like, I don't know what the fuck to do. When you have like a social, especially, I feel like this speaks volumes to anyone who has social anxiety and you've always wondered like, what do I do? What do I say? How do I interact with this person, right? It's a person you may have never met before. Maybe you're on a date. Maybe you're interacting with someone you met through a mutual that you run into and they're just by themselves, and so you have a little interaction with them, but it's a little weird because you're like, oh, we haven't had like a one-on-one conversation before, right? Like so many different things apply. Going to school in your 30s, like me, you know? Just a lot of feelings can be tied to this, and I think especially a lot of people feel social anxiety really related to this song. Me being one of them, because I have a really hard time, I would say and not so much anymore, but I had a really hard time with communicating with people in a way that made sense, until, you know, over the past couple of years, I picked up ways to better my communication skills and kind of fix that problem that I thought that I had, right? But anyways, I just think that song really speaks volumes to people who have social anxiety. And again, it just made me realize that, like, why? Why, what do I have to be nervous about? If someone doesn't like you, it's more about them than it is you. That can't be said for everybody, I'm gonna be honest, but it's the way you interpret somebody else's feelings versus how they're actually feeling. You never know how they're actually feeling unless you ask, right? But what am I supposed to do? Oh, when you're trying to learn how to make friends, that song really hits you. It's a deep cut. It's a deep cut for that, for sure. But it's a banger. I love that song. It's insanely good. My favorite song on the album, although What Am I Supposed to Do is a banger, my favorite song is Waste Away. I love that song. That song is so good. I think it's paced really well. Something about it really makes you feel nostalgic, and I think that's what Say does better than most, is bring that nostalgia to the front of their music, not dissimilar to what Mobo does, but with a different style, right? I think Sapie has a lot of parallels to modern baseball, even though it is a little bit more refined, a little bit more fine-tuned, a little bit less screechy vocals as we got into this album specifically. Screechy, like less whiny, I guess is how you would put it. As most Midwest emos labeled as like whiny white boy music or whiny white boy sings, right? But I just think with this new album, it sounds a little bit less whiny than like what your typical Midwest emo sounds like. I honestly don't have a song I dislike on this album. Even the intro is short and sweet, although I don't have a song I can label as my least favorite. A big con to this album is that it's not longer. This feels like a very short album, and I just wish it was longer because I liked it so much. That's really all there is to be said about that one. And now we're hitting it again with another emotional album that dropped. You guys love it. I love it. I have not met a single person in the Midwest emo sphere who has disliked it. Arm's length, there's a whole world out there, right? And like, they're not wrong. There is a whole world out there. Saw them live in Toronto during the Wax Bodega tour. I was absolutely obsessed. It was such a great time. That was also with Saturdays at Your Place, Carly Cosgrove, and Ben Quad was on the tour, but they dropped the Toronto show for a family emergency. As sad as I am, I completely understand why they would have done that, of course. But yeah, sad times I didn't get to see Ben Quad, and for those of you that did, I hope they were just as amazing as the rest of the bands on the tour. But Carly Cosgrove, Saturdays at Your Place, getting to see them live was a dream come true. Like, absolutely loved it. And like that tour was my first exposure to Arm's Length. So I didn't really know a lot of their discography going into that tour, but I fell in love with it. I fell in love with their set, their songs. A little tidbit, I didn't talk to him, but the Arm's Length lead singer, while I was walking to the venue, he was walking on the opposite side of the street from me into the venue. So that was kind of cool. And I didn't even know it until he got on stage and was like, oh, I was walking next to him, you know, like that. I thought that was kind of funny more than anything. Incredible performance. First introduction to Arm's Length. I didn't think that Arm's Length could get better with the previous music they put out, but this album really speaks volumes on that, because they bamboozled me. It's a banger. It's even better than the rest of their discography that they've come out. What I do want to say that I found interesting, this wouldn't have been 2025, obviously, but when they did the Wax Bodega tour, the Arm's Length did a Carly Cosgrove song, Carly Cosgrove did a Ben Quad song, then Ben Quad did a Hot Mulligan song. And I thought that was so funny. I thought that was awesome. And what's even funnier about that is I liked the covers more than I liked the originals. Like, each cover was really, really good, and each cover was done in that band's specific style. So it was very interesting getting to see these like comprehensive covers like done. Like they sound very different from their originals, but in like the best way possible. And I loved it. Anyways, what else can I say about this album? I said that it reminds me a lot of Never Before Seen Never Again. Never Again Found. Sorry, I forgot a word there. But a little bit more similar to Hot Molly compared to what that album was. They found out how to be even more gut-wrenching than before. Arm's Length doesn't really have the dance upbeat tunes that Hot Molly does, but so how do they manage to do it? Couldn't even tell you, but it is done beautifully. The song that stood out to me the most is Early Onset, but to be honest, I just haven't listened to this album enough to really have a favorite, least favorite, but I can say Early Onset is cathartic to sing on a bad day in the car and have a good scream to. Those are my notes on that one. Just a little bit of a comparison to Hot Molly because I think they deserve it. And that's not to say I'm saying there's a whole world out there. Sounded very Hot Molly. I'm saying it sounded like Never Before Seen Never Again, but with a little bit of Hot Molly inspo. You know what I mean? Another one. Okay, the next three that I'm going to talk about aren't really Midwest emo, but they fall enough into the emo scene that I feel comfortable talking about them on the podcast. Not super in depth with these ones, at least the next two, because I haven't really listened to them a ton, but I've listened to them enough. The World is a Beautiful Place, Dreams of Being Dust, one of the most versatile bands I've ever listened to in my life, and this album doesn't disappoint their reputation for me. It's good, it's heavy, it's definitely heavier than a lot of their previous songs and discography, which is my next note, and I just remembered it off the top of my head, I guess. Love it, and especially love that they have a song with Brendan Murphy, if you don't know who that is, Counterparts lead singer, insanely talented band, as well as The World is a Beautiful Place. I love Counterparts. I love The World is a Beautiful Place. I love the song that Brendan's featured on. I love that album. I think it's very well done. I think it's very good. It's heavy. Like I said, it's different than a lot of their previous music, but in like a really good, refreshing way. Like, I love what they did with it. I love that they came out with something heavier. I think it was about time that they did that. The World is a Beautiful Place falls under something like Touche Amore and Law Dispute for me, where you never know really what they're going to do next. Because they're just so versatile. Like, they can do anything. So they do everything. You know, it's one of those. And that's what I love about that band. I'm just going to spitfire through kind of the rest of these because I have lots more I want to talk about on this podcast. And we're already half an hour in. Turnstile, Never Enough. I know we're probably sick of talking about it, but I have to. I can't not talk about it. What can I say about Turnstile that hasn't already been said? Album feels like a solid continuation of Glow On, but to be honest, I like this one way more. I like Never Enough way more than Glow On. I think that's a lot of people have the opposite feelings towards it, but I personally, Never Enough is more my style than Glow On was. Bird is my favorite track on the album by a long shot. Definitely got emotional listening to this for the first time. I do love the visual art style that they decided to take with this album, whether it comes to the album artwork, the music videos, the set designs over the course of the year that they've done shows showcasing the album, doing the album promotions, like everything that they've done visually, I also really enjoyed when it came to this album. And then they released a movie alongside the album, which is really cool. I actually haven't seen it, but I think someone had said that it's just the music videos in chronological order telling a story, and I think that's super cool. It's a really unique idea. It's like what Law Dispute does with their songs, right? Like they make like these comprehensive stories through their songs, through an album, using the songs as like different parts of the story. But Turnstile did that, but with music videos, and I think that's like really cool. Turnstile blows me away creatively every time they drop something, and they're more than just a band to me. Similar to how Mobo's more than just a band to me. You know, Turnstile is just big. They're great, and they're always doing something different, and that's what I love. And if you notice how I'm talking about bands like Turnstile and Law Dispute, Modern Baseball, you know, it's the vibes, the energy, but like accompanied by really amazing music, you know? Like that's how I feel about a lot of these like bands that I like so much. Pop. Again, not really Midwest emo, but it falls under the category enough for me to talk about them. And I gotta say, when this album came out, it was on repeat. I was obsessed with this album when it came out. Who Will Look After the Dogs? I don't know if I mentioned the album name yet, but there it is. Easily my favorite release Pop has ever done. Before that, it was Morbid Stuff. Morbid Stuff was huge for me. Sibling Rivalry was one of my favorite songs of Morbid Stuff because it really made me think about my relationship with my brother. And that was a very interesting kind of realization to be put through. But Who Will Look After the Dogs definitely was put out at a time in my life where I really needed it. So one of the notes I wrote down for this one is kind of funny, but I do want to reiterate it. The amount of tears I shed during the first day through this album was overwhelming. I cried at just about every single song on this album when I listened to it for the first time. There's a reason for that. I was going through a lot in 2025, and some of the songs on this album really made it clear that I have to stop feeling sorry for myself and carry some confidence with me. This album is really what turned it around for me in terms of my attitude towards life. And it's not that I never had the attitude that I have now. It's that I didn't know how to utilize the attitude I have for life. And this album really changed it for me. You know, it made me realize that like I can't be scared every day to like leave the house or talk to people. And if I stop being scared, then I go the complete opposite and be confident. And that's what you want to be. Like that's what people should strive to be. If you're confident, you can get a lot more done. Like it's been crazy how much I've been able to get done this year just because I've had like the confidence to carry myself through it all. And for that, I'm grateful. And without Pop's music, I probably would have figured it out eventually, but this helped me figure it out faster. So I'll say that. Best Revenge, favorite song on the album. It was sort of that song specifically was the one that started my self-realization to the confidence that I have now. Concrete and Shut Up, I also really enjoy them for a lot of the same reasons. I will say I do have a least favorite on this song. That was Hallways. It's just not a song that I would particularly feel like listening to. It is a little bit sadder comparatively to the album. This is one of those albums, although it is emotional, it is upbeat compared to a lot of the other albums I've mentioned so far. This one is a little bit more upbeat, and the next two I'm going to talk about are also a little bit more upbeat. Although, let's do Trash, String Theory. If you're a Midwest emo fan, you may have heard of Trash. You may not have heard of Trash. Their most famous song, Dad Rock, is insanely good. Absolutely adore this. Oh no, sorry, that's the wrong note. This album has got to have some of the catchiest tunes they've ever put out, but I doubt anything's ever going to be Dad Rock. You know, that's where I mentioned this song comes into play. But Dusty, the song Dusty on String Theory comes pretty damn close to being a little bit more catchy than Dad Rock, in my opinion. This was another very emotional drop of the year. Album as a whole. My notes are written so bad. I'm really bad with taking notes, but I try my best. This album as a whole makes me feel very deeply, and I have to be in the right mood for it. But goddamn, do I ever love it. Dusty, Hyperpop Killed My Dog, and Stained White Tees are my most listened to so far, and that's probably not going to change. Love those albums. Next one I'm going to talk about is an interesting one. Dear Cincinnati did not have one, did not have two, but had 3 EPs drop in 2025. And I'm not actually going to talk about them all because I didn't listen to them all, but I have listened to Don't Come Home, which is their most recent one, and I Can't Let Go, which is the first drop of 2025 that they did. And then The Trolley Problems was the one in between that they put between those two. I adored Don't Come Home along with I Can't Let Go and I Can't Let Go. Dear Cincinnati, 3 EPs drop. I have not been disappointed with a single song that I've listened to so far. Ghost of Corona Girl is my top song of the time it came out to now. Like, Ghost of Corona Girl is the first song I put on every time I get in my car because it is such a good song, and I love especially singing it in the car. And it's one of those songs where it's just like I vibe with it, and it like matches the entirety of my personality. Like, it's just like everything I am squished into a song. I don't know how to explain it. That probably sounds confusing when you listen to the song, but it's just like, to me, it makes sense. I don't know if you have a song like that, let me know, put it in the comments. But this one specifically, it really makes me, it makes me feel things, and I love it. I didn't really listen to anything off the Trolley Problems too much. And Don't Come Home, I would say favorite drop off that one was Dennis Finger, and I can usually recognize it pretty quick, but I love that song so much, as well as the Ghost of Corona Girl. Those are some of my top songs of 2025. Some honorable mentions. I listened to in full, but didn't listen to them enough to form kind of a full opinion on them. We have Camping in Alaska, Egg Beat or Jesus. I will say I did not listen to that album in full, specifically that one, but Comeback Kid, every time it comes up, I recognize it, I listen to it, I scream it in the car, I have a good time. I love that song. Computer is a band I found recently. Their album Zero, highly recommend listening to it. Again, it's an album that I necessarily haven't listened to yet or listened to enough, but it's out there. Michael Cera Palin, We Could Be Brave. I listened to it on release, but I didn't really have time to write a review for this podcast episode to come out in time, so I'm just mentioning it. Summer Brews, Infinity Guys, love that album. I just didn't have time to write down my thoughts to get this podcast out on time for you guys. And like by on time, I mean like it's been just over a month since I gave you guys a podcast, so I just wanted to make sure I fit one in and try and get as close to monthly releases as I can, and it looks like it'll be every second weekend of the month. So just so you're aware of that. Something I didn't listen to but was recommended, the Casper Fight Scene S/T. Something I haven't listened to yet, but I'm pretty sure a couple of songs have come up and I have hit the liked on Spotify, but again, I can't make any opinions on it if I haven't really spent the time to look and listen to it. Ben Quad Wisher, it's another one of those albums. I didn't really have enough time to form an opinion on it by the time I wanted this podcast out. First Day Back, I will say, I've only listened to a handful of songs, but one of my best friends recommended it to me. So it does sound like it is my kind of music. It is definitely not necessarily Midwest emo. It like the guitar, yes, and like the music aspects to it, but the vocal style is very throwback to like more of your classic emo punk. But it's good. I really, really liked what I've heard. Aren't We Amphibians? I've listened to it in full. I love it. I didn't have enough time to make a comprehensive review. Rec League, didn't listen to it. Words We Never Said, but I love Rec League and I highly recommend them to anybody. They did drop that in 2025. I do plan on listening to it eventually. I think I've heard a couple songs off of it, but again, it's one of those things where I didn't listen to it in full. Thanks I Hate It, Scatterbrain, another band I really like, another album I never got to listen to in full. It is there, it exists. The few songs I have heard off of it, I've liked every single one of them. Kerosene Heights, Blame It on the Weather. I love Kerosene Heights. I'm hoping to see them in 2026. We'll see if that actually happens. Blame It on the Weather is very, very good. It's another, I think, more emotional drop, more emotional than some of the songs I put out in the past, but it is still a really good listen through. That being said, didn't listen to it enough to form an opinion. Like a comprehensive opinion, review, whatever you want to call it. That's my 2025 album list. I guess what else do we have to talk about? We have to talk about me a little bit. We got about 20 minutes to talk about what I've been up to, how school has been going, things like that. School's been great. Finished my homework today at the day of recording this, which is great because normally I don't finish my homework that quickly. But because I'm not currently working, doing homework has been easy breezy, beautiful cover girl, you know? Like I absolutely love just being able to take my time with my homework, not feeling like I have to be rushed or anything like that. So, yeah, this year is going to be really, really good in terms of finishing school and getting a job after and all that. I pretty much have everything planned out. I'm hoping I can do a second year of school, but financially it'll have to depend, you know, just one of those things. What else can I say? Christmas. I had a great Christmas. I got a bunch of tools, a toolbox, some fun stuff for my car. Like a battery booster that I purchased with some gift cards. I got my MacBook, which you guys saw because of Boxing Day sales. That was nice to pick up and acquire. And just like a bunch of other like small things like chocolates and this pillowcase. I know it's stupid to mention, but I really like this pillowcase. This blanket comforter. I really, really love this comforter. It's so comfy and it came with a couple of pillowcases. I love it. And I love that it fits the vibe of my room and everything. I made a little charging box for charging all of my devices because I have a lot of them. So that was nice to be able to do with some Christmas money. I don't know, yeah, the toolbox was like the biggest thing in the tools. Because if you guys don't know, I'm in school for CNC machining. And like I said, it's been really good. We've been learning how to program, how to use the machines. Manual machining was cool, but I think I'm much more excited to learn the programming side of it. So we'll see where that goes. Things have been interesting in terms of my personal life. I'm not going to talk too much. I'm trying to get more videos out there. Midwest Library is my new YouTube channel. If you don't follow it, please do so. I'm going to be posting a lot of live footage on there. I'm going to try to post once a week. It probably won't happen all the time depending on how often I'm attending shows, which is quite often, but I'm not recording them all the time, if that makes sense. And sometimes I am recording them, but it is paid, and because it's paid, I give the footage to the band as opposed to posting it myself. So just things like that I have to work around. But that's been fun. My Mario Kart Midwest emo account has been popping off. If you have seen that account on TikTok, hi, that's me. Just having fun making TikToks. I've been able to, make a lot of content that I like and want to put out. I've been rearranging a lot of my digital storage. I've just been getting my stuff together for 2025. Putting things in order, getting things done that I need to be done. Having a lot of self-realization, that kind of stuff, there's a lot of stuff I've been trying to kind of work through and get over, and I've been doing a pretty good job of it. I'm definitely having fun planning a little prank on someone in the next little while. I'm not going to talk too much about that because I don't want that person to find out, or I would want anyone else to spoil it. But I'm planning a little prank on someone in the near future, and that's going to be kind of fun to do and pull off, if I can pull it off. I'm sure I can, but we'll see how it goes. Very excited to do that. Couple of shows coming up. A friend of mine in a band, Solaire, wants me to record their show coming up on February 7th. I think I'm going to be recording Wild Side coming up at the Handsome Daughter on it's not next weekend, but the weekend after. I think like the 20th or 21st or something like that. I'll be there. I'm going to be shooting for the Winter Eruption Festival, doing photos around different venues and different shows for that. Lots of friends' bands are playing, so I'll be making my rounds, saying hi to people and all that kind of stuff, so that'll be fun. I may or may not have a new crush on somebody, but again, I'm not going to talk about my dating life too much on here because that's not what I want this podcast to be. Although I would like to delve into my personal life with you guys, my dating life. It's just not something I feel comfortable putting on the internet, especially because I have feelings for somebody and that person doesn't know yet. So like, I don't want to put this out, have them watch it, and be like, oh my god, like you're crushing on me? No, I like to keep those for private conversations, but I am crushing on somebody and it is kind of driving me a little crazy, but in like a good way, so I'm just thinking about that, so life has been really good so far. I've been definitely getting my shit together, putting my taxes forms together, that kind of stuff, because tax season's coming up. I don't really think I have anything else to talk to you guys about, but I'm gonna be getting into journaling. I don't have it now. It's supposed to come in tomorrow. I'll have it for next episode, and I'll show you guys what I've been doing with it. But I did order like a fancy journal that I'm very excited to start keeping thoughts and things down. And hopefully when I show you guys next month, I'll have some things written on it. I plan on making a stamp with a friend who makes stamps. He's going to help me out and show me how to do it. And I get to recreate a stamp that I really liked that I saw online. So very excited to do that. And yeah, I'm just really trying to get into just making more art, doing more things, having fun. I've been playing a lot of World of Warcraft. Legion Remix is gonna have a week left. So by the time this is out, or by the time I do the next episode, it'll be over. And hopefully I can finish grinding the last 1,000,000-ish bronze that I need for it, but who knows, right? I think I'm gonna call it there for this episode though. I don't really have much else to say in terms of my personal life, but definitely enjoying school, definitely getting a lot of stuff done. And yeah, I just, I had a good Christmas. I had a good holiday. I didn't do anything for New Year's. I just didn't really feel up for it. So last thing I want to say, if you're a creative person, if you're in a band, an artist, venue, promoter, anything that falls under that kind of category, and you need photos, videos for things, and you have people that are out there willing to do them for you for free, give them credit or ask them if you can use their footage. See if you can maybe get a little bit of a cheap deal and they can edit it for you. You know what I mean? Like, I had a situation where a band used my footage without tagging me, without asking me if they could, without consulting me, without telling me that they were going to. Even if they just sent me, hey, I'm just gonna use some of your footage for some promos coming up, I would have been like, yeah, cool. They didn't do any of that. They didn't do anything. They didn't communicate with me in any way, shape, or form that they were going to use footage. And I wanna clarify, I did send them the footage for free without asking for payment or anything. But usually I get some kind of credit. But yeah, this band used my footage without telling me, without asking me, without tagging me. And that kind of pissed me off. And like, it's one of those things where like, I'm not gonna go directly to the band and tell them, hey, you have to credit me or take this down. I don't want to get into confrontation. I don't want there to be a whole argument about it. I don't care that much because I made the conscious decision to send them the footage in the first place, right? So I'm not going to make a big deal out of this, but I do just want to put it out there and say that like, if you're in that position where you have photos and videos that people have done for you, and maybe it was that maybe there was a reason you didn't pay them. Maybe there was a reason they didn't want you to pay them. At the least you can do is give them credit, right? Tell me what you think about that. I just wanted to say it. I posted on my Instagram story. I'm posting it again here because it's something I feel so strongly about. I just like, if you do creative work for somebody, you deserve credit. If that person doesn't want to credit you, do not work with them again. That's my stance on that. Again, I don't want to call them out by name because I feel like doesn't need to be that big of a deal, but just be conscious that if you're using somebody's content that they took for you, credit them. It's important for you to credit them if they're trying to make a career out of it, right? It's different if it's just your friend who took a video on their phone or took a photo on their phone. But if it's somebody who like is working towards building a career out of doing photos and videos and things like that, the least you can do is credit them. Give them, point people towards them, give them business, give them eyes, give them followers, that kind of stuff. It's the least you can do if you didn't monetarily provide for that footage, right? That's my rant over. I hope you guys have a good new year, and I will see you on the next one.